Welcome to SBW Talks. On this episode today, we have Cheryllyne Vaz, one of the half of the Vaz Hardwood real estate team. The other dynamic half is our amazing husband, Andy Harwood. As licensed realtors for the state of Minnesota, they enjoy helping their clients with their real estate needs, from buying and selling homes to growing investment portfolios. Cheryline is passionate about home ownership. She firmly believes that everyone should own a home. Originally from Mumbai, India, and her family originates from the tiny state of Goa. As a South Asian Indian American entrepreneur who now calls the United States her home, the concept of owning a home in this country takes on a deeper soulful meaning. She is a loud advocate for first-time home buyers, single moms, families with young kids, and seniors. Cheryline is also a fierce supporter of women entrepreneurs and loves kicking down barriers and making room at the table of opportunity and hustle for other women. Cheryline has two unruptured brain aneurysms and insists that every woman should get an MRI at least once a year. She and her husband reside in Minnesota with their three kids and menagerie of animals. She loves to wear saris, cook Goan food, and is on a mission to teach Minnesotans that salt is not a spice. Welcome, Cheryline.
Yes, thank you. Salt is not a spice. People,
No, it's not.
no, it's a seasoning.
No. So we're so happy to have you. You are just a positive ray of light to everyone, always smiling, just so positive, telling everyone to go do it, be an entrepreneur, don't be scared. So tell us, what made you come to the US?
I worked as a brand copywriter in Mumbai. Why brand copywriting? I have a bachelor's, master's, and a PhD in literature. I also have an MBA. And my father was in advertising for nearly 50 years.
Wow.
He worked for Sisters, and Sisters later on became Saatchi and Saatchi. So I started out as an intern at that agency and then went on to become a brand copywriter. I just got tired out there. I said, okay, what else can I do? I always admired, had a great fondness for the American advertising scene. I had heard that there was this wonderful school called the Miami Ad School. It's a pretty prestigious school. And just for fun, one day during lunchtime, I decided to apply for it and send my portfolio over, a copy of my portfolio over. Did not expect to get into that school. At that time, in 2001, it was 90, in 2001, for a long time, they would accept only 10 students and per semester. And I got in. Without telling my parents, I also applied for my visa to the US consulate. That's a lot of money, but I had a little bit of savings, and I said, okay, let me just see, because I didn't think they would give me my M1 visa, and I got it.
Wow.
And then it was time to tell my parents, and my father was, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, because I had to tell them, of course, for many obvious reasons, and the biggest one being they would be the ones paying the fees.
Right.
My father and mother were like, that's okay. You want to go. You've done so much so far. And my father made it clear this is going to be your inheritance. We're just going to send you there. And I did.
No, that's amazing, that journey of just getting to the US.
I never ever thought. And then I landed here and oh, wow. And I'm
Yeah,
not,
and to a city that's next to the ocean where you're coming from.
yep, yep. And the school was wonderful. That was the year, unfortunately, 9/11 also took place
Wow.
in 2001. So, it was pretty interesting, and it was a very interesting and challenging time, as you know, for Americans. I really, really, all those poor victims who lost their lives. What I thought was, but what was also interesting was I was one of exactly very few people from South Asia out there, and suddenly people who I thought were friends were labeling me as a terrorist.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it became very hard very quickly. I am grateful for all my experiences in the States, positive and negative. I am, because that has helped me be
Who
the
you
Cheryline
are.
Vaz that I am today. It's also helped me learn and advise entrepreneurs and people who are not immigrants to this country on how to handle racism and discrimination that they face on a daily basis, and how to still, I think I like to just encourage everyone to just be positive, be a good person, put your head down, stay focused.
Right. No. And is that kind of like a life event that kind of made you get into real estate? Like,
So after in 2014, by complete accident, I found out I was expecting. It was a
oh, wow.
complete accident. I thought I had the flu and I was expecting, and that was Rex, my youngest. And and I'm so grateful because that was like a happy accident. Happy because at that time the doctors found out my thyroid had stopped functioning. I was still alive because to keep the baby alive. That's how the doctors explained to me. What happened? So as you all know, he's here, he's bouncy, he's a happy 10-year-old right now. But at the time, what we didn't realize was the health insurance company would not cover any of our bills because or any of my thyroid bills or the hospital bills. So from never owning debt, we suddenly owed over $208,000,
Wow.
and they were coming after the house. The people that we owed the money to were coming after the house. That's when I looked up, we couldn't pay our mortgage. So, of course, when you don't pay your mortgage, the bank goes after the house. We started looking up foreclosure. I started looking up foreclosure laws. I started looking up going to city council meetings, and I just did a lot of research. And at one point, we figured out how to save the house, etc. And we still own that. Actually, is that first house is now our first investment property. But at the time, it was very scary. It was very nerve-wracking, and my husband, it was Andy, who said, you've learned so much about the real estate business. Why don't we try to get into it? And
Hmm.
at the time, I just said, I don't want to because the entire experience of all near foreclosure had soured me. And he just said, well, because of our experience, let's do it more ethically, with integrity, with compassion, come with a very education focus, talk to, and he said we don't have to do what other realtors are doing. Because before in the past, or at least everything I used to just see it was all about the commission and closing a deal and units and volume, and that just is too much for my brain. It still is, for me, if I have to do anything, it's quite simple. I have to be emotionally involved or emotionally invested in it. And Andrew's idea was brilliant. In fact, I have to give him kudos because I almost didn't. He signed me up for my license. Again, I had no idea. And he said, and on the day of the first day of school, real estate school, he said, do you want to come or not? And I said, well, what could go wrong? And on my first day of school, they were talking about foreclosures, how to help clients out, etc. And that piqued my interest.
Wow. That's like amazing. And it just happened. It was meant to happen.
I didn't think that the Vaz Harwood brand, the Vaz Harwood team, and me would still be here 10 years later.
And you're one of the top realtors in Minnesota. I always see you getting awards every year or every quarter.
Well, it's all thanks. Well, it's all a lot of hard work. I'm very proud to say that Andrew and I have it's a great business partnership. A lot of people do question us, you're a husband, wife, does it work out very well? Yes, because we met in advertising school and he was my art director designer partner. So when we first met, it was always like a business professional relationship. And I think we still have that. Of course, when you have 3 kids now, we always are quibbling and squabbling over, little stuff. What are we going to have for dinner and who's going to do the laundry? But by and large, we have a phenomenal professional relationship. And it's because we have shared ideologies, ethics.
And I think that's kind of what helped grow the business and your brand.
I would like to think so. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's critical and that's one of the things I try to tell young realtors. When I say young realtors, I mean young with young with licenses, not age, because anyone can get a license. And who are newer to the business, I also like to tell fellow entrepreneurs, especially women, that everyone wants to get into it right away. It's invaluable to just take a pause, sit down. You learn that and do a SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Basically, just do that for yourself, both from a business standpoint and a personal standpoint. And then do a Venn diagram to see where both intersect.
It's almost like a math. You just can't just get into real estate. A lot of people think it's a glam business, but it's a lot of.
No, everyone asks me when I go down to India, they think they watch Sunset Plaza and real estate in New York, realtors of New York, and or HGTV. And no, it's not. It's unfortunately, it's very unfortunate that we have those shows out there. So I don't know if you know this, but realtors have strict fiduciary duties.
Mm,
We have the same fiduciary duty as a doctor and a lawyer. In real estate in the United States, you just have to be 18 years old. You don't even have to complete high school. And
wow.
that's why people are, and that's why we have a lot of problems with fraud, with first-time home buyers being neglected, with senior citizens being defrauded, etc. I hear complaints all the time because people very often call me up, and it's very unfortunate that the bar for entry is very low, and it is what it is. And I talk very openly about all these issues. In fact, one of my very first broker actually used to get complaints. This is 10 years ago from other realtors. You have this realtor who should not be talking too much. My broker was pretty cool. She just said, well, actually, she's speaking the truth. But to other entrepreneurs, my women entrepreneurs in particular, about why, well, figure out your why.
Right.
My why were my three kids. So we were close to losing our home. Okay, let's go back. We were close to losing our home. And I had all these notions about what real are like, but we were close to losing our home. I'm going to repeat this again. So I had to find my why. I had a picture of all my three kids. At the time, all three of them were under the ages of 7. I put that small picture, I printed out multiple copies, stuck it in the bathroom, stuck it in each room, stuck it on my laptop, stuck it in my wallet, in the car, etc. Because I needed it to be slammed. This is why you're waking up. You have to break through your mindset of what you thought real estate was all about and just plow through. And it was hard because when you look like this, you sound. People, yes, there are plenty of Indians in the States. But, when you open your mouth, that's the big differentiator where people realize, oh, she has an accent. She's actually from India. The fact that I'm an Indian American is besides the point. And then you're in Minnesota, which is supposedly Minnesota nice, and it's not.
Right.
It's not.
So, did you have to face a lot of challenges with racism and discrimination being a South Asian real estate?
Every day, including yesterday.
Wow.
You would think that growing the business to where I am right now, things would have changed. On the contrary, it's gotten worse. And it comes from both political parties. And that's all I will talk about politics. So it comes from both political parties. And people often ask, are you really? And I'm like, yes. Because very often the one party that thinks they know everything about immigrants, etc., and don't, love to be the one who will argue back with me.
No, I mean, what advice would you give to women entrepreneurs who is facing racism and discrimination? I mean, you just can't stop and say, I'm not going to do it. Like, what advice would you give them?
Oh, absolutely. Great question. Maintain firm boundaries, irrespective of people's politics. Maintain firm boundaries. One. Two, know your value. I especially say this with a lot of love to all my fellow Desi Indian women entrepreneurs, because very often I get calls from Indian women entrepreneurs telling me that other Indians are trying to bargain on price, bargain, negotiate, la-di-da, etc. And I'm like, no, you don't have to know your value. If you want to bring it down, bring your price down, that's up to you. It's not the other person's fault.
But don't bring your value down.
It's up to you. So you need to figure out what your value is, and well, and then the next question they often ask me is, but what about all these wonderful, who else can I talk to? And I said, you need to find other markets. You don't have to just market your stuff to Indians. I've been very vocal about how the Desi community has treated me in Minnesota. So I was raised Catholic, and I'm a Catholic Goan. There's less than 1% of us in India, as you know, and there are only 5 of us actually here in Minnesota. That's how small our community is. But when I first started out in real estate, I was just bluntly told, people I thought who would hire from the Desi community didn't. And I was just bluntly told, oh, Cheryline, we love you, but you're Catholic, and if you step into our house, because we're buying our house, and the Griha Pravesh, those pujas,
The
whatever.
welcoming of the.
Yes, correct. They welcoming the gods. They said, well, if we let a Catholic enter our house when we are buying a house,
Wow.
we cannot. You have got to understand that in our culture, we think of someone like you as Panmati, a very well-known Indian from Minnesota who shall be named unnamed, but from the doctor community. This is the scary part. Had the audacity to say that to me.
Wow.
And for those who are listening and don't know what the word Panmati is a very, very nasty word you do not want to use on anyone. It's a Hindi word. It's, to put it politely, it's someone like you who's inauspicious.
And I think people need to start respecting women who are doing business because it's not an easy job.
It's not just about respecting. You need to know what's coming out of your mouth.
Correct.
For the rest of my life, I will always remember what this person who's a doctor, someone who's been educated in the sciences, has said to me, and from the Indian community. So again, it comes down to setting boundaries. I'm very grateful that he spoke to me that way, because, this is how you learn to set boundaries, both professional and personal. I promise you, I try to tell a lot of Desi entrepreneurs. Desi is Indian. Indian entrepreneurs that set your boundaries, personal and professional. Know your value. Stick to your core values. If your core family values are integrity, honesty,
You'll
stick to
succeed.
stick to it, because guess who? Your children are watching you.
Right.
Your
So
children
true.
are watching you. And for someone like me, I am the brand. Even though it's the Vaz Harwood brand, people see me as the brand, which is something I never ever thought. I thought I would last in real estate for all of 2 years. I just wanted to pay off my medical bills, save the house. I didn't think it would be. But my point is, you are the brand. So you need to sit down with your pen and paper and do the boring thing. Everyone thinks it's boring. I promise you it's not boring. It's very cathartic, because it gives you an idea of who you are and what you want your brand, your business brand, to be. It will also save you a lot of mental health. When it comes to mental health and the anguish you go through when people treat you badly, you will learn that. I'm often asked, do people still treat you badly? And yes, the answer is yes. And this is, yeah.
And how do when someone does treat you badly and you hear something from maybe a potential client and they put you down, how do you get over that? Like what motivates you like the next day to get up? Because some people are insensitive and they may say something to you that they just didn't realize how hurtful it was. Give that advice. How do you get up the next morning, help these entrepreneurs, be it men or female?
Ironically enough, it's mostly women. Let me
Wow.
just be very clear. 99.9% of the time, it's mostly women. And so on many, because people see me closings, and as of yesterday, we have technically closed 509, no, 512 clients
Wow.
in 10 years.
So you must be doing something right, right? I mean,
That's because I found a different target audience. So I'm coming to that. So people very often say, I've been asked, why are you not closing more with Indians and you're closing more with Americans? Well, it's because of my training in advertising. So I figured out a different target audience. Just put myself out there, not expecting anyone to hire me. But so out of the 512 clients, I apologize if I'm wrong with that number. Only 7 Indians have hired me so far. Let's be very clear. It's okay. I wish the entire community well. I try to tell entrepreneurs, please figure out who your target audience is, and if the Desi community is not hiring you, don't let them get to you. That was very hurtful. It hurts me, even though we've been 10 years. It hurts me to my core when I see uh, when I see I'm not hired.
and it's
And
someone
that's
from
okay.
your same like ethnicity group. It kind of is like, well, why are they not supporting me?
Well, actually, there are very few from Goa over here, but there are plenty of people from Bombay. And what I find fascinating is I wish them all well. I truly do. I really wish them all well. But when I started out in real estate, I was, I think, one of exactly 3 Indian realtors,
Wow.
because Cheryline started doing well, and I was actually told this to I say other people started getting to the profession, and I see the Indian community, they're cheering all those who are Hindu realtors, and that's okay, but they will never ever really cheer me or say anything. And this is what and the point to the story is, I've tried to tell a lot of Desi entrepreneurs who sell, do not worry. It's okay. Figure out your audience. It's okay. Go to the bathroom, have a good cry, go for a walk. If you have a punching bag, punch it. That's okay. You have to go to bed, wake up the next morning, put on your face. I like to put on big earrings
Yeah.
and my lipstick and, of course, my black eyeliner, because that's my trademark. But what I try to tell people is stay consistent, stay focused about what your goal is. And that's why it's so critical to do the SWOT analysis and the Venn diagram for yourself and for your business, because it hurts. Yes, it hurts. But you also need to figure out how to get over the hurt, because guess what? You have a family to feed. You don't have
Right.
time for tears. The brand you has to always be positive. You will never see me on social media complaining, whining. I will once in a while call out people, which is only when I get very upset. I like to stay positive. My target audience very often are people who are buying a home, which is the
Right.
biggest emotional decision in their life. Big feelings. They're not going to hire a realtor who cranky
Yep.
or
Yeah.
angry. You
So what
need
is like the best advice you would give to female entrepreneur who wants to come into real estate?
Don't expect to close deals quickly. You will probably close deals in your second month, third month, etc. Try not to be commission focused, because I see that happening often. And I've heard complaints about it where realtors turn away clients who are from small price points. Keep in mind you have fiduciary duties. You should be helping everyone.
That's great.
You should be helping everyone, because you're helping people with home ownership. This is not about getting a commission. This is about helping someone navigate their achieving their home ownership dream. If it's a first time home buyer, they've been a renter all their life, or chances are they are the first person in their family to own a home.
Oh, and I wanted to talk to you about, just because you brought up that renter, what's the advocacy work for renters? Because I think we always talk about home buying. What about the renter side?
For renters, there are plenty of first-time homebuyer assistance programs, and a lot of people from lower economic and from minority communities do not realize that you get a lot of first-time homebuyers buying assistance programs here in the state of Minnesota. So always, if you are a first-time homebuyer, always ask your realtor and lender about DPA, that's down payment assistance programs. that I love first-time home buyers. They are like my babies because I get overly passionate about finding them their first home. And my husband and I'm very lucky that I'm married to a very patient man, you know.
No, and tell us again, what is your website? What is your Instagram, Facebook handle? Give us all the updates on.
Oh, it's vazharwood.com. Instagram is, again, Vaz Harwood. And you can also follow me. And also, my personal page, I think, is Cheryllyne Vaz. Do the same also for my Facebook. Facebook page, Vaz Harwood Team. And connect with me on LinkedIn, especially if you are an entrepreneur and a small business owner. I'm happy to share my business connections with you. People tend to forget that LinkedIn can be a great tool
Right.
for networking connections.
I think we learned a lot from you, kind of your journey, how you got to real estate, what you've gone through, been through, and your ups and downs. I thank you for coming today on this show and talking about this.
Can I
I
say
know.
one thing?
Yes.
Please, every woman, I would love if you're a woman listener, please, please, please ask your doctor to arrange for a brain MRI.
Yes.
Brain aneurysms is one of the biggest silent killer of women, and very often women unfortunately find out after it's ruptured. I was very lucky that mine was um, uh, found by complete accident in advance, so now I can monitor them and protect myself.
That is our next episode with Cheryline, brain
I
aneurysms
come.
and social justice.
My gosh, you are so.
We can talk about that because she has a lot of experience through that. The brain aneurysm, me and her can connect on, and the social justice, but that's going to be part two.
I know way too much about how to run a business, how to protect above all, to protect your mindset, and especially when it comes to racism. So, one last thing, if anyone wants to write to me or email me your personal stories about how badly you have been treated, feel free to do so. I am here to be a happy listener and to give you advice
Can you
on.
give your email address, Cheryline?
It's on my website, but it's C, like the first alphabet of my name, C at wazharwood.com. And I'm sure you can put that up with my bio.
Yes.
And feel free to call me up. I'm happy to listen to everyone.
Yes, she's amazing at this. She just pushes you to go and do more.
Especially,
So thank you, Cheryline, for coming to SBW Talks. And again, thank you to our viewers for listening and viewing. And please share and follow SBW Talks. Thanks, Cheryline.
thank you for having me. Namaste.
Bye.